This year, 2024, brings with it somewhat of a feminine touch to things, of more ease, of more flow, of more of an allowing kind of energy, and also a more surrendered state of being. And it's completely different to what we have experienced up until this point, because up until this point, we were more so in the divine masculine, and oftentimes more so the unbalanced and quite hurt divine masculine, which is why it's so important that now, this year and then moving forward, we're embodying more of the divine feminine aspects of ease, flow, surrendering, and allowing. Because for one, that's really the energy we're really moving into. Now that we're in the age of Aquarius, this new earth template, it is so important that we're really learning how to really bring balance in between our divine feminine and our divine masculine. Because when our divine masculine is out of balance, that also keeps us out of balance with our divine feminine. So there has to be balance there. But moving forward, this year and moving forward, it's really important that we are then embodying more of the divine feminine aspects. Going about life in a more heart-centered way, actually. Which, like I said, is completely different to what we are used to, what we have learned, what we have been taught. Because we have been taught to we got to go out there, we got to make things happen, we got to work really hard to, become successful, to make money, and all of those different things, right? We have to make sacrifices in order to have the things that we want. But the divine feminine is completely different. The divine feminine is more so really about ease and flow and going about things in a more surrendered and allowing way, and not having to choose between this or that, but really being able to have this and that, and then something even better. Which is why in this video, I want to share with you 6 tips on what you can do to start embodying the divine feminine aspects, because that will then also assist you in really creating more balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So the first tip that I want to share with you is you want to tune in often. Really tune in and connect with your higher self, with your soul, with your heart center. Really tuning in and connecting and then feeling into things. When we're talking about divine feminine, it's not about the thinking, the analytical things, the strategic thinking or anything like that, but it's more so coming from the heart. It's more so tuning into things, tuning into yourself, feeling into things, feeling into yourself as well to see, okay, what is going on? What are you picking up? What are you sensing? What are you feeling? What do you feel called to do? What do you feel called not to do? And things like that. What feels in alignment and what doesn't feel in alignment? What feels good and what doesn't feel good? The more you can connect, and this is about really coming into the heart center, really connecting deeply within your heart center. And then from that place, you're opening yourself, you're feeling into things to then not just think about certain things, but really intuitively then know certain things, intuitively feel and sense and pick up certain things. That will then also, the more you really tune in and connect with your senses, connect with your gifts as well, that will then also help you really tap more into divine feminine flow. And moving forward, this is really important that we are more tuning in, connecting deeply, and then also using our senses then to go about life in a more aligned way. Because 2024 is all about living a soul-embodied life. And tuning in will help you do just that, because you're tuning into your soul, you're tuning into your heart center. And from that place, you're then more aligned, you're more centered, you're more grounded. Then the second tip is you want to go at a slower, more aligned pace. So don't rush about things, but be more deliberate about things, like the actions that you're taking. It's not so much about doing all kinds of different things like multitasking and rushing and trying to get things done, but really be deliberate about the things that you're doing and doing it in an aligned way. And that's why tuning in is so important, because if you're doing something that doesn't quite feel right, you want to adjust, you want to course correct. And that's what, by you slowing down, that gives you then that space, that time to really then realize, okay, is this really what I feel called to do? Is this in alignment? Does this feel right or not? Going about things at a slower, more aligned way or pace is really going to be important as we're really embodying the divine feminine aspects, because it will help you to also be more focused and be more in the moment. Then the third tip is you want to actually bring more spirituality into your life, bringing more balance between the physical and the spiritual. where you really find that balance. If you're usually very much in the physical, you're thinking a lot, you're doing a lot, you're rushing and things like that, but you're usually not very connected, you want to bring more spirituality into your life by connecting more, by really embracing your spiritual aspects, your divine aspects, doing maybe more meditation, things like that, to really bring more balance to the physical aspects. But then also on the other side is if you're usually very much in the spiritual, you're doing a lot of meditation, a lot of work where you're really up here in the spiritual, really in the higher realms, and you're not really taking much action, you then want to then also bring balance here too, to really bring more balance to the physical then, where you're actually taking action. Because it's one thing, bringing more spirituality in your life is really great. It's amazing because it helps you really feel good and it helps you raise your vibration. But if you're then receiving insights and guidance and you're not actually then taking the action in the physical, you're missing a very important part here. But like I said, also on the other side is if you're always just in the physical, you're not really doing that. You're not really connecting, and you're not really opening yourself up to receiving the guidance, the downloads and things like that, and you're very disconnected. So now moving forward, as we're really embracing the divine feminine, it's so important that we're bringing balance to both aspects, the physical and the spiritual. So if you're usually too much in the physical, bring more of the spirituality into your life. Maybe take more time out where you tune in, you connect, you journal, maybe do some automatic writing, maybe meditate more, things like that. Be more mindful. And then if you are usually very much in the spiritual, but not so much in the physical, then you want to take out time to then also really take action on the things that you have received, the guidance, the insight, and things like that. You want to act more in the physical then. This is very important. There has to be more balance, now more so than ever before. We need to create that balance between the spiritual and the physical. And here I just want to share with you a video that I recently released it's about 6 essential tips on how to live a more heart-centered life. This also becomes very important now moving forward. So if you would like to check that out, the link is in the description below. Then the 4th tip is you want to really learn how to surrender and allow. And I know this may be a little bit of challenge, especially if you're not really used to just surrendering. Because surrendering really means is you're just letting go your desires, you're letting go your worries, you're letting go of anything and everything that is not serving you. And also, of course, you're letting go of your dreams and desires. Not so much about letting go as far as you don't want them no more, but really surrendering to the outcome. That yes, you're holding on to your dreams and desires in a way, but you're really detaching from any outcomes. You're really handing it over to a greater power, and you just then take those soul-inspired steps on a day-to-day basis. But being in a state of surrender, of allowing, is becoming very important, because that's also really one of the essence of the divine feminine, is to be in that surrendered state, really trusting that your desires, your wants, all the things that you would like to experience in your life, they are already on the way. But you don't have to constantly hold tight and trying to force it into existence or anything like that. But really being in that surrendered state, taking those soul-inspired steps on a day-to-day basis, and then allowing things to unfold without having a tight grip on things, right? Even, like I said, also surrender your worries, your fears, your doubts. Surrender all of that. Because fears and doubts and all of that, that's the ego, right? That's more on the imbalanced divine masculine side, right? You want to surrender all that. You want to really trust, tap into that sense of deep inner trust that anything and everything that you want is on the way, that you can have anything and everything that you want, or something even better. The more you surrender, the more you stay in alignment, the more you feel centered and grounded, and the easier things will then come about. You want to be in a state of flow each and every day. That's why this whole tuning in more is so important. That's why really bringing more of the spiritual aspects into your life, or bringing more balance to both sides, is so important, because you want to be in the flow of things. If you're receiving inspiration, you want to act on that, but you also want to have the time and the space to receive the inspiration. That's why it's so important to really tune in. So you want to be in the flow each and every day. And when you're noticing that fear, worry, doubt, and all of that stuff comes up, you want to then pause. You want to take a step back. You really want to surrender all of that. Let it go. Find that trust that whatever you need or want is already on the way, that you are supported, that you are protected, that everything is always going to work out for you. Find the trust in yourself, in your path, in your desires. Find that trust within it, because the divine feminine doesn't worry about, oh, are my dreams ever going to come about? Am I going to be able to make that? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? No, the divine feminine, she knows everything is going to be all right. When I think of the divine feminine, I really get the image of that goddess, the goddess energy, right? A goddess doesn't worry about, if, her bills are going to be paid, or if whatever she wants, if it's going to come about. She knows. She knows that anything and everything that she wants, she's going to have. Right? And that's the kind of energy we want to step into as well, really embracing that aspect, really having that unwavering trust that whatever it is that you want and need is already on the way. You just want to be in that state of surrender and being detached, and also being a state of allowing things to unfold without having that tight grip on things. And there's another video I want to mention, is a light language activation to awaken to divine love. This activation can help you really tap into that beautiful energy. So if you would like to check that out, the link is in the description below. Then the fifth tip is you want to focus more on joy and pleasure over anything else. If you're usually stuck in the grind of having to do certain things and obligation and stress and worry and all of that, you want to really allow yourself to let that go. Focus more on joy and pleasure. What can you do more of that really brings you joy and pleasure? And even let's say you're stuck in a job that you really don't like anymore, maybe you even hate it and it's very toxic or very challenging and you really don't want to go each and every day. Here too, you can find a way to bring pleasure and joy into your day. You want to find something that really brings that joy and pleasure, whether it is after work, so you can then really look forward to, like, oh, after work, I'm going to do this because that brings me so much joy and pleasure. Or even during the day, whatever you're doing, see if you can bring some joy and pleasure into your work. Maybe be a little bit more creative, find a creative outlet. Usually being creative really helps you really tap into that energetic flow of excitement and joy and happiness. So see what you can do to bring more joy and pleasure into your life. And if there's certain things in your life that you simply can't get out of, then allow yourself to look at it from a higher perspective. In the past, whenever I still had a job, I hated it. It was so toxic. Every morning I got out of bed and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to go. What I then had to do was I looked at my job as that vehicle that will help me get to where I am today, which is I'm self-employed. I have been self-employed since 2016. I quit my job early 2016. Yes, okay, it wasn't really the smartest thing to do because I was going through some challenges, but the point is my job helped me get to where I'm at today, which is I get to work from home. I get to work my own hours. I get to do whatever I want. And I get to create that financial freedom in my life of doing work that really I want to be doing, that brings me joy and pleasure. And even if you're stuck in a certain situation or you have certain obligations that don't bring you joy and pleasure, you can look at it from a higher perspective, to see it from a higher point of view that, yes, I don't really like this, because you want to acknowledge that, but you're seeing that's the vehicle that will help you get to where you want to be. Right? So you can do that too, but you want to focus more on joy and pleasure and bring more joy and pleasure into your day-to-day activities, into your daily life, because that will then also help you raise in vibration, raise in frequency, and that then also opens you up to creating more abundance, more ease, more flow, more joy, more happiness into your life. And then the sixth and final tip is you want to follow your soul's guidance over your ego's limitation. And what I mean with that is, that's why tuning in is so important, because when you tune in daily, let's say in the morning, you're tuning in, you're connecting with your soul, you maybe then check in with yourself. Okay, what do I feel called to do today? How can I make an impact today? What is the most aligned thing for me to do today? What can I focus on today that will help me uplift my life, uplift myself, and really help me step into my soul's higher path? Whatever question you want to do. But if you're tuning in daily, maybe do some automatic writing or just in meditation, really tuning in and asking that, you will receive guidance and insights from your soul that will help you to really be in alignment. And you want to listen to your soul's guidance over your ego's limitation, because your ego is always going to keep you in limitation. Your ego is always going to tell you, oh, don't bother, it's going to be too hard, and you're not good enough, and you're not smart enough, and or you're not pretty enough, or whatever it is, right? Your ego has all these limitations. So you want to put that aside. You want to just ignore it, like, okay, ego is just having a little hissy fit again. Kind of treat it like that. And then you want to tune in. Okay, this is what's going on here with the ego. Well, how do I feel about this? What does my soul have to say about this? Really connecting deeply on a day-to-day basis to receive the guidance from soul. That then also helps you stay in alignment and take those soul-inspired steps. You can even ask about your desires of what you want to accomplish. You can tune in and you can ask, okay, what can I do today that will get me one step closer to reaching my goal, to experiencing whatever I want to experience, or to manifest whatever I want to manifest. And then you let your soul guide you on what steps to take, what actions to take, what things to change or whatnot, or what things to create as well. That is also the key focus of 2024. It's about living that soul embodied life, meaning letting your soul guide you every step of the way. So here are the 6 tips on what you can do on a day-to-day basis to really embody the divine feminine. Because that, like I said, that is really the key energy theme for this year. That's the key energy that we're experiencing. You may have already noticed that, energy is lighter than last year and the years before. There's a different energetic touch to it. And that's really that divine feminine touch. And we're meant to embrace it. And yes, it's going to be difficult at first, because we're not used to embracing the divine feminine. We have been taught to really embrace the masculine side. And like I said, it's often the unbalanced, unhealthy divine masculinity that we have been living with up until this point, and things are changing, things are shifting. So the more you can really do that, the more you can embrace the divine feminine and pay attention to the tips that I just shared with you, and maybe start embodying that and embracing that will then really help you really align yourself to this divine feminine energy that we have moved into. So I'm curious to know, how do you feel about what I shared with you? Does it resonate with you? Have you noticed that energetic shift happening, that the energy is a little lighter, more expansive, more easygoing in a way? I would love to know. Leave me a comment below. And while you're at it, maybe even hit the like button if you enjoyed this video so far. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And then also, be sure to check out this video here. It's about those 6 essential tips on how you can really live a heart-centered life. That will give you some more insights into really how you can really embrace what is at offer this year and moving forward. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Until then, make an amazingly abundant and joyful day. Namaste.